Okay, I think we did it. Thanks. Hello, everybody. This is Jack Olmsted, GMO Free News. I'm here with Keri Weber. She is the angry mother and wife in Flint, Michigan. She's like the Energizer Bunny, just keeps going and going and going and going. And this little segment we're going to call, Oh, What a Week. Oh, what a week Keri had last week. Actually, it's been 2 weeks. Before she flew to Washington, D.C. to attend the two hearings last week, she worked like a dog, like a cat. She worked her fingers to the bone working with Virginia Tech, doing home analysis. How you doing today, Keri?
Tired still, Jack. Still have not cut. It has not slowed down since I hit the ground.
And when did you hit the ground?
I came back Thursday night, got in about 9:30.
How's your health? How's your back? I know that you went on the 3rd of February to attend those hearings on the bus, and you came back and it was like you were done for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Better. Not as bad as the bus. Far from being good.
So why don't we start with Virginia Tech and working with your friend, colleague, angry mom, Leanne Walters.
An incredibly busy week. I had not helped with the Virginia Tech testing last time. This was quite an eye-opener. We were working from 1 in the afternoon till 4 at one location, and then 5 to 8 at another. We were switching back and forth between two churches. We were also running kits out to residents, picking kits up from residents. Residents were bringing them in, dropping them off, picking them up. It was, and every time we switched the location, every kit that we still had to go with us. So it was box them all back up and move them. We did that for 5 days.
Was it physically taxing on you?
Yes. And I didn't even do all the moving. Just all of the constant on my feet, back and forth, people in and out, is very tiring. There were nights I wasn't in bed because then after working all day long, and most times we were there by 11:30 in the morning or 11 in the morning. And then by the time I got home, 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, there's still that crazy wife and mom stuff to do. So most nights I was getting in bed between 3 and 4 and back up between 8 and 9 the next.
That sounds like a full-time job for you. Did you get reimbursed?
I volunteered.
Really? I thought the EPA was paying for this test.
They are. But I opted to just volunteer my time.
Oh, so you could have gotten reimbursed?
Yes, there were people that were being paid. And that was thank God. But there was only 16 of us. Well, there were 16 from Flint, and I think we had 5, 6 kids from Virginia Tech. So you're talking 22 people maybe doing the whole study. But no, I opted to just simply volunteer my time. One day I did not go in, but I don't remember which day that was. Because that day I had about 1,000 other things to do for the family and for upcoming in DC. So I did take one day off. And then Saturday we did the big open house with the EPA.
How did that go?
That was very interesting.
Can you lay the groundwork? It was in a church, wasn't it?
No, it was over at New Standard School. It's formerly Powers Catholic High School on Carpenter Road. And when you came right through,
they had booths set up.
Yep, the gym was all booths. Right in the hallway was Virginia Tech, and just kind of like a welcome area. And that's where we took all the kits back and greeted people. And then inside the actual gym area, it was really very neat. The EPA was there, the MDEQ was there. That was a treat. There were some plumbers there to show how to put the filters on sinks. They had nutritional They had educational. It was really, I mean, very well planned out, very well done. So
The
that was
MDEQ, do they have a cage around them?
no, but they should have. We could have paid for some cage fighting. Some interesting discussions with those folks.
Do
So,
tell. Did you have
well,
a conversation?
I had gotten a call earlier in the week because MDQ, we're one of the, that's not satellite homes. I can't think of the name of it. One of the houses they're studying closely because, shockingly enough, Jack, there's a problem in my house with the water. I know, stunning, isn't it? So we're one of the homes they're supposed to be checking every 2 weeks. And 2 weeks ago, we had a guy come in, a plumber, and EPA guy, and an MDEC guy show up in my house. And this was the second time they were here. Now, neither time was I here. The first time I was with Lee trying to help her find a vehicle, which we did for 3 weeks before the Virginia Tech testing. So then the second time they were here, I was at the Virginia Tech testing. I was on site. So the plumber they brought with them, and this just, I don't even get it. Everybody has come into my basement. Everybody's looked at that line. Everybody has said that line is copper. It has now been blessed by the EPA 4 times, by the MDEQ 3 times, more plumbers than I care to think about. Everybody's been in my basement. So he came in that day. Again, they went down to see what the line coming in was. One more time, we confirm it's copper. Mike's up here in the kitchen, and the guy says, you know, it doesn't make sense that your lead readings are so high. You have all copper plumbing. To which Mike said, yeah, we know that. We have the receipt for the line into the home. It was done 12 years ago. The city's line is lead. To which the guy says, but that doesn't make sense. You'd have lead in your water. Now, we're probably more knowledgeable about this than some. And Mike said, are you being serious? And the guy said, yeah, if it's only on the city side, you shouldn't have lead. So my husband said, if this is as articulate as you are on the situation, there's the door, go back out. And the guy kind of laughed, and Mike said, no, really, I mean leave. And sent him back. So I wound up calling the whatever phone number they give you that you can't get a human being on.
211?
No, oh God, no, forget that number. This is the one for the EPA MDEQ testing center here in town. So I had left a message saying, look, I don't know what the confusion is at my house. We have established this so many times. In fact, the first weekend, Jack, EPA was in town. Mine was the second house they went to. So to say this has been confirmed ad nauseum is an understatement. So anyhow, this guy from the MDEQ calls me back, and it was Thursday of the Virginia Tech testing. And I'd gone outside to take the call. First of all, they got my address all wrong. 2804. I have no idea what the hell they're talking about. So I get him fixed. Anyways, he says to me, as I'm trying to explain this to him, because I don't know who's been in the house. The first time they were here, the MDEQ guy was a real jerk to Stephanie and Victoria and treated them like they were stupid when she probably, if they could have educated him. Anyways, he says to me on the phone, well, we know we made some minor mistakes. I told him what I thought of his minor mistakes and what they really were, and I'll spare you the words I used, and informed him, if you're ever going to call someone in Flint again, I would forget I know that sentence. How dare they? Minor, and I understand that's the party line. We made some mistakes. Oops, bad us. No. And that's what I told him, sort of using some extra words. Minor mistakes don't kill people. This is not minor. This is huge.
Well,
So
I would think that MDEQ, the EPA, the city would say
we're morons. Oops.
lead poisoning hasn't killed anybody yet. The Legionnaires killed people, which could be attributed to the river water, but in terms of lead flowing through your
But look,
taps,
there
hasn't killed
are
anybody yet.
so many people that are so ill that people that have had MS before. These people are in deep trouble, Jack. And just what we've gone through with Mike and Victoria and Stephanie having Legionnaires. Okay? Just with those fun facts. I'm not the one to say minor mistake. This is my family. To me, this is not minor. And another comment I had that same week about Mike and his eye stroke, well, at least he didn't have the big dangerous stroke. At least. Right. It's only a third of his vision, only one eye. Cool. That's great.
Well, that's like the doctors telling Leanne that it's only a few IQ points.
It is the same thing. And it's, how stupid are these people? You're already in this much trouble. But then to come here and continue with such a lack of regard, absolutely no conscious thought of what they're saying or who they might be talking to. What if I had a parent that had died of Legionnaires?
Well, let's put it into another perspective. Let's say you had a parent that was on dialysis and was sent home and was told, drink lots of water, you got to flush your system, you're on dialysis. And they were gone in 6 months.
Exactly.
Well, they're not counting that as death related to the water.
No. And that was my point. We will never know the true human cost. Never. Because anyone with a pre-existing, it's getting blamed on that. The miscarriages, the early births.
Well, they could start doing the numbers right now.
They are. Now
they could go to the morgue. They'd go to the morgue and they could start pulling teeth out of the corpses and find out exactly how much lead they had, but they're not doing that. And also the miscarriages. And also the kids.
My understanding is, at least for a time, they were testing fetal tissue. I don't know if they still are, but you know they didn't do it the whole time.
Who are they?
It's supposed to be the county is testing. Well, I know
Hurley Medical Center?
Yeah, was testing fetal tissue for a time. I don't know if they still are.
Well, I wonder what they were checking it for.
Lead.
They could be checking it. Really? They were checking it for lead? Would Dr. Mona know about that?
She should.
They were checking fetal tissue.
Yes.
For lead at some particular point in time.
At one point in time. I don't know if they still are. I don't know how long.
Was that between 2014 and 2016 they were checking for lead?
It would have been after the announcement last year. So after October 15th.
Between October 15th and the end of the year, let's say December.
Yeah.
3 months.
Now I've seen no numbers, but there was an article stating they were going to be testing fetal tissue from that point forward.
Well, I'd be interested in seeing that article. You think it was from
I'll go dig it.
MLive?
Probably MLive, or my guess would be MLive, maybe Detroit. I'm not positive which one it was now. I've read a lot of articles, but I remember because I talked to Mike about it, because we have a real history with that issue, with miscarriages. And when all this broke in October, and it really was just kind of a perfect storm. October is very hard for me. Um, 4 of our miscarriages were September, October. And even though I love my children with all my being, that's still very difficult, even 24 years later. So October already being hard. And then this October, we found out children are being poisoned. And then put the connection with Victoria poison. And that was my one job. So when this hit the news finally, it just, the timing, it was just a perfect storm. And I think that's part of why I hit the ground so hard like I did. My girls are 16 and 21, and yet harming anyone's infant is incomprehensible. Anyone's. And that's why I'm fighting for everybody's kids. And, you know, now we don't, of course, know what the girls' reproduction looks like, and of all the things I didn't want them to experience. So, yeah, there's a lot behind my drive. I feel for all these moms. If I had an infant right now, I'd be locked up. Not knowing, having to wait for the blood test when they're older, having to wait and see what it's going to do, having known I gave my brand new baby, or I drank the water, or I made them formula with the water. I'm doing.
or you bathe them in water. Here
Yeah.
you have Governor Rick Snyder.
Yeah.
Going on the record saying he would bathe his grandsons, his granddaughters.
Yeah, my ass.
In Flint water. It's perfectly safe.
He's perfectly stupid.
And they're all saying now that it's perfectly safe to bathe in. Mark Edwards, Dr. Mona.
Yeah, well, did you see?
Go ahead. Go for it.
66 last night?
No.
The water defense group that's been here, it's just called Water Defense.
Oh, I interviewed Scott Smith, the head researcher. Yes. Yeah, we talked for an hour. Yeah.
Done extensive testing. And last night it broke. No, this water is not safe to bathe in or shower in.
Well, Steve Harvey had a pediatrician from DC on his show saying, don't bathe in the water. Your skin will absorb a percentage of lead. Don't bathe, shower.
I mean, skin is porous.
Yeah.
We're like little sponges. Okay, bigger sponges. It doesn't matter. The point is, and yet, but it was on last night on Fox 66 that he had spent all this weekend in meetings with the EPA. Do you want to know what the answer from the EPA was?
Sure, let's hear the answer from the EPA.
Oh, this is great. They're going to do further testing because of what he has found. And he was going based off of, now here's where we start to not learn anything ever. He's basing this off the actual test he's run. This is not like conclusion science. This is like Mark Edwards' real science. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the EPA is going to do further testing. But for now, stand by their comment, the water is safe to bathe in.
And that is a crazy thing. That
we learn nothing.
That somebody raises a red flag again. That is not in the bureaucracy, not in the system, outside the box, and they are going to take the position of, we are going to assume that it's safe until we find out otherwise.
And why would they not be at this point?
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they go on the side of caution? Okay, it's not safe to bathe, and the reason is just money.
Yeah.
Because,
and then again,
because if they say that, then they're on the hook. Then they're on the hook for water filters for your shower. You know, that's another hundred. That's another, you know, big huge ka-chink. Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay for it? I'm sure that's their discussion. If we say that the water is unsafe, then we have to provide water filters for the showers, and we don't want to afford, we can't afford it, or we don't want to spend the money. So therefore, it will all go away if we say it's safe. And that's exactly the mentality that got you where you are today.
Yes. And just like they denounced Mark Edwards, they denounced Dr. Moda. Now, they at least didn't denounce him. We've learned something. And yet, at this point, you know, just like last week, no, it was just before I left for DC, so 2 weeks ago now, they had released statements, cautions, warnings about Legionnaires because it's getting warm again. Would you not think we'd be going, you know what, there may be a problem showering, but like you said, then they've got 99,000 whatever people that need either like the shower tent cities or portable showers or something. And my brother-in-law has said come shower. My sister has said come shower. Do you have any clue what it's like to pack up a family for all your crap, go to somebody else's house, take a shower, especially in the dead of winter? My personal favorite. 4 people go through a shower, thank you very much, and come back home. The feasibility of that is so asinine. Can you do it? Yeah. So now we're going to use gas 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. Time, inconvenience, pain in the can, because there's not enough that goes on with the family. There's no homework. There's no after school stuff. My God, we don't have 1,000 doctor's appointments. So we're just going to carve out all this extra time to float around the shower on it. And then shower with bottled water. Could you just really? How? Have you tried that? Really, you should give it a shot, Jack.
I hear Coleman donated some portable shower devices.
Where?
For Flint. I hear they're sitting in a warehouse. I hear the mayor's office knows where they're at. I just have heard that they exist, that there's pallets of them, but I haven't heard a mass giveaway. The Coleman, you know,
Coleman,
the company that does camping gear, donated lots and lots and lots of these portable shower rigs, and you can fill them up with your bottled water and you can put them out in the sun and get them warm, and so you can have a warm shower. But again, it's
so now we're showering outdoors naked.
No, you hang them up in your shower. You know, I guess a little hook or something gets on your shower. But you know how much you're putting a gallon or two. Let's say you're putting a gallon of water in there. You're heating it up in the sun. You're taking it in, and a gallon is what you like.
I'm not even sure. I don't even want to go there.
You have to come up with some pretty good gymnastics to shower with a gallon of sun heated water.
See, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you wash the top half. Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
I didn't think about that. That's right. That's
Sunday,
right.
you're too damn exhausted to shower anymore.
That's the way to do it. You shower in sections.
Right. Well, I have to put it up. Maybe top to bottom.
Yeah, people will be putting all kinds of videos together. How to shower the top, the middle, the bottom.
Well, and the thing is, I'm only like 4'8.5", 4'9".
There you go.
Mike is 6 foot. Vicky's 5'7". I see some struggles. I'm just putting it out there, Jack. And you definitely wouldn't be sharing a shower.
Yeah, no more sharing showers. That's right.
Half a gallon.
That's right. If you shared showers in the past, that's a taboo. In fact, they probably passed a law. City council would probably really get behind that one.
It would be upper left-hand side Monday, upper right-hand side Tuesday. I mean, and this is truly the insanity of what we're living. And to some people on the outside, it's like, well, that's not so bad. Come on over. Let me show you what this is like. Even the
People
dog.
people on the outside don't understand what it's like day in, day out, what your situation is, what your day to day, hour to hour life is like. I mean, this is your life. You get up and you're faced with it every single moment.
Well, and now they're like, well, if you're getting rashes, don't wash the clothes in it. You get 2 cases of bottled water a day per family for everything.
For the dogs, for the cats, for the turtle, for washing, bathing, cooking, drinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It all kinds of adds up.
Yeah,
but they do say that the filters are working. Do you trust the filters?
No. No.
How about the plants? Are the plants getting bottled water, or are you able to give them filtered
I've
water?
never had a plant live.
Oh.
Outside of that, I've got completely black thumbs. Both girls bought me cactuses like 5 years apart. I drowned one and starved the other one for water. So I'm not a plant person. They don't survive well with me.
Okay, so that's the least of our issues.
Yeah, well, we do have the 0 water pitchers.
Oh.
And we test those religiously. Those we will use. No, I will not use. Our last reading was like 550 parts per billion. I was in.
How many?
550. And we've been told we need to be on that first 30 grouping.
550.
550 parts per billion lead.
The city, they were freaking out because Leanne Walters, her test came back initially at like 300 or something.
Is 104, and then it went insane. Now her one test was over 13,000.
Right.
She does still hold that record. But last week, while Mr. Wonderful was testifying at Congress on Thursday about how the lead numbers are down in Flint, on that report, there's one house that was 11,800 parts per billion. And it is the insanity, the fear, God, the fear. Victoria has gotten, it is so bad on her. Look, nobody's having a good time. But the poor child that's lead poisoned, has liver problems. She takes a shower, she has a panic attack. Instant. And they, not for a few minutes, not until she's out, 3 to 5 hours. Heart racing. But last night she got out. Her blood pressure's always been real low. Like 109 over 60. I mean, like almost borderline, not quite alive low. She got out last night. It was 152 over 100. And it's fear. It's that contact. And so, what's worse than young women being stuck with 2 showers a week, 5 minutes a shot? And she's 16. And, I made a comment to her one morning. She really needed to wash her hair. And she said, Mom, come to school. Most of us look like this. And it's sad. I mean, what a time. It's very hard on the kids. I mean, 16 is just kind of that goofy kind of thing anyhow. And this was a girl that showered at least once a day, sometimes twice. And she dries off dishes that are dry. She dries off silverware that's dry. She uses mostly silverware out of a box now, paper plates. Her fear has hit that threshold. And so when I'm making dinner, I dry pans that are dry. I wipe down everything with a towel or a paper towel, or she cannot physically eat it. I don't know what you call that, but it's not good. We've had to start counseling. We were in Ann Arbor and she was super thirsty. We're 70 miles away, and I'm like, honey, just get a drink of water. And she looks at me, she says, you must have lost your mind. So I'm not sure she'll ever be able to drink tap water. And that's what a lot of us are suffering this. There's certain medications she's on right now for her back and hip. She's really so smart, they both are, that sometimes it's not good. And she's very concerned because these medications are filtered through her liver, and her liver is already having issues. So she's not even sure she should take them. 16. We're at the grocery store. She's pulling up a list of safe foods to eat, foods to help remove lead. And the weight is oppressive.
What's that?
The weight of all of that is just oppressive. It's
Sure.
almost hard to function. And she and I talked for a couple hours Thursday when I got home. And she's not one that talks very often. She bottles everything up, which is just a nightmare right now. And we finally talked, and Friday was the first time I saw her genuinely happy and lighthearted. And it was gone Saturday. So
Was she involved with the Virginia Tech water study 2 weeks
with
ago?
her back and hip in school, no. She and Dad held down the home front while Steph and I ran like morons. And I mean, I don't know. It's just very, very hard because I can't make it better. And there's no words to say to your kid. So anyways.
Let's talk about the hearings.
Yes, let's please. What a joke. Oh, I'm sorry. Which one did you want to start with?
Well, how did you get to the hearings? Let's talk about
Oh,
you
I was
going
given,
on a plane as opposed to a bus.
yes, thank God. I was given an outstanding opportunity. My buddy Sam Inglot, I always say it wrong. And he's not just my buddy, but anyhow, I've gotten to know him through Progress, Michigan. He had called me Wednesday before the hearing and said they were looking at flying out 5 families from Flint to be ambassadors for the city of Flint, and that he wanted to know if I was interested and if anyone in my family could go. Well, Steph had exams, Vic's still in school, and with Mike's condition, we could not guarantee he could go. So it wound up being a family of me. And then as it was, they wound up having to cut a few people because of cost-wise issues. But they flew out 5 families, me and 4 others. We had kids there too. Moms, grandmas, Bishop Jefferson was there. just a group, kind of an eclectic group. Nakia Wakes was there. So between the AFL-CIO and Progress Michigan, they flew us to DC. And we got in Monday night and proceeded to work our cans off for 4 days. We did everything. And we went to the hearings. We were in congressional offices. We met with Congress people. We interviewed. They worked just, they did a small, just a documentary piece with each one of us and put it together. I haven't seen that yet. I'm not sure I want to.
Is this Progress Michigan? They put together the video?
Progress Michigan and the AFL.
Progress?
Yep, they brought in a film crew to do it. I think it was probably the AFL-CIO that did that one. And it was, Fran was there as well, and I keep forgetting her last name. She was from the AFL side. I can get your last name later. We worked so hard, but they were so good to us. Our greatest cheerleaders, they laughed with us. They helped us laugh. They kept us motivated. They literally held us when we cried.
Talk about what happened when you got off the plane.
The first night we got there, we came in late.
This would be Tuesday, right? This would be Tuesday the 14th.
We came in Monday night.
The 13th, Monday night.
Yep. So Monday night we got in, basically went to the hotel. We had a very brief meeting, and that was it because it was almost 10. Our plane had been delayed a couple times.
I bet you everybody hit the showers.
Yes, we did. We were like, you know, don't use up all my hot water. Because Sam's room was right under mine, and I'm like, dude, I will come for you. Well, then it turned out where we were at, I'm not even sure. It wasn't really a hotel. It was like small apartments. And we each had our own. So it was very nice.
So did you have a kitchen?
We had a kitchen. There was even a washer and dryer. We each had our own hot water heater.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, they really took good care of us. So, yes, hot showers first thing on the agenda. Long hot showers. And we kept teasing each other because we'd hear the showers on and off. And you could tell kind of where we were in the building even. So that night, everybody kind of showered and crashed. We were up the next morning at 6 a.m.
Can you bring your camera down a little bit? Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, go ahead.
So the next morning we were up at 6. We met together briefly. Everybody got ready, and we left there, I think, at 8. Hold on, I can tell you. I don't know the time.
That's right. You took notes.
Yeah, well, and I still have our. Yeah. See, our departure times don't work off that anymore because everything kind of kept changing and ebbing and flowing. But we left, I think we left that morning about 7:30, headed over to the Rayburn building, jumped into line, and that was for Tuesday's hearing.
That's right, Tuesday's hearing. That was on the 15th.
The 15th, yeah. And that was our friend Dane Walling and Darnell Early, Susan Hedman, and Mark Edwards, the good guy. Wasn't it just the 4 of them?
I think it is. 2 in the 3 in black hats and 1 in the white hat.
1 in the white, yeah. And I'm telling you one at one point, and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing his name right, but Chavit, is that correct?
That's right. The chairman.
Yeah.
Chavitz.
In both of the hearings, I thought he was going to catapult out of his seat and grab Hedman and McCarthy both and just pound on them.
So you were in the room, is that right?
Yep.
So what was the mood in the room when he started? I thought he was very articulate. Chavitz.
He was incredibly articulate, straight to the point. I felt
Here he is. I'm getting a clip of him up right now.
he is incredible. Uh-oh, hold on. My computer's deciding it wants to give me a problem. He is simply amazing. I only had just a few minutes to talk to him. And very articulate, very concise, very to the point. Was not buying the song and dances being thrown out there. It got very stressed. I mean, going into the hearing, it was already very tense in the room, obviously. Now, Tuesdays was not nearly as packed as Thursday. But
here, we got a picture of you going. We got a picture of you going into the room. Here.
Yep, there it is.
This is Thursday. This is Tuesday.
See, I don't remember why I looked that angry, but I was angry.
It's like you were set for bear. You're going in there and listening to Susan Hedman, the former EPA administrator from Region 5, your former mayor, and your former emergency manager.
Oh, yeah.
Who you probably met at your city council meetings. Didn't you see Darren Early and
no, he
Dane
was
Walling?
gone by the time I was involved. Walling was still there. The man who fought for us quietly behind the scenes. So quiet, nobody seemed to have heard him. And yeah, there was a lot of tension going in there.
What were you expecting when you were walking in there?
Well, really, Dane Walling, in my personal opinion only, is, yeah, there he is. It's not the strongest, most backbone person I've ever met. And I really thought he would start singing like a bird. And I was hopeful he would maybe just once be honest. Did not happen. His choir boy routine just made me insane. His whole woe is me, I didn't know, poor Dane, and that he got away with that. And what I don't understand, why nobody brought it up, and I do believe my date's even right, June 20th, 2014. Now remember, the switch is made in April. June, Darnell Early put Dane Walling back in charge of downtown development and the water plant. He is so, in my opinion again, I'm just going to say that once. Anything I say is my opinion. Anyways, he is so complicit in this mess. And it goes all the way back to the TTHMs. It goes back before then. Look, I know not everybody understands the law of water because I didn't either. I understand. I didn't know what biofilm was. I didn't either. I'm sure he didn't either. But when you're in that position, guess what? You have homework to do. And that he had a report from 2011 made for him stating there would have to be corrosion control, and that plant needed millions of dollars of upgrades before they could use it to treat water. And I think they spent about $400,000, called it a day. And this smug human being. I'm really trying hard here, Jack.
Here, I got him. I got him up there on the screen. There we are.
Yep.
I thought it was very interesting when the chairman Chavez asked Dane Walling, former mayor, if he got any money, if he financially gained from the switch from Detroit to the KWA, because he was the chairman, or what, he was the head of the KWA when it first came on the scene in 2010 until 2015.
Now, every community involved in that nightmare has somebody sitting on the board. That's kind of how they sold the idea. Yes, he was chairman. My understanding is, after he lost the election, there was some heavy scrambling done to try to keep him on anyhow. My understanding also is, other than expenses, now I don't know how free we're expense accounting right now at the KWA. That's all they were getting paid now. But the general feel and open consensus, and I think truth is, because you look at Josh Freeman, who, when, my buddy Josh, let's not forget him, from city council, when he lost his position on the KWA, he immediately quit city council. The thought is that when KWA goes online is when these guys get their money.
So the question was, have you benefited financially? Dane Walling can say with a clear conscience, no, I have not. What he could have said was, will you gain financially through the KWA? That was the question that was not asked.
I'm not sure he will now, because he lost his seat and they couldn't keep him in it as hard as they tried. And you notice the new mayor, because each city has people on that board, but she did not go in as chairman of the board. They changed that rule when he lost.
They said that she would be too overwhelmed with the situation, and she had to get up to speed on what was going on. So they were a buffer. They're buffering, but she would eventually be the chairman, because that's how their articles of incorporation were written, that the sitting mayor of Flint would be the chairman of the KWA.
And have we seen that yet?
Well, I'm sure she still doesn't understand how the KWA functions.
Oh no, here's the thing, Jack. This whole thing has stunk since day one, the KWA. It is bad in 1,000 ways. And Jeff Wright has pushed for this since the 80s. I don't know how many people know that. Not the KWA specifically, but this line. The one that's going to be like 8 miles from the one Detroit uses, or some stupidity like that. But
here's the KWA Wikipedia site. And it's easily found on a Google search, KWA, and it shows the history of the KWA going back to 1963, when there was a big scandal about profiteering with people in Flint.
Yeah, and I hope, there's a zillion different investigations going on in Flint right now. And I know there was recently some articles released, probably on MLive or Detroit News, talking about the contractors that got the contracts for the KWA and how they are very close and important, let's say, supporters of Jeff Wright. And he was asked about that. And of course, it was merely coincidence that their bid was taken. Just telling you what I know. But I think if they seriously start looking, follow the money, They're going to find out how dirty this little things. What about the easement? Who owns the land that the easements were purchased from for the pipeline? There's a lot of questions. Hey, can you zoom in on that? Oh, go back. I know I can look it up later, but I'm curious.
What do you want me to zoom in on?
The one that showed all the fight, not that one.
Oh, this is just kind of flicking through.
Yep, there's one more. That one. Nope, that one. Yeah.
This one right here?
Yep.
Here, let me, there. I'll freeze it.
I wonder if that's in Flint. I got to go look at that because I'm curious about something. There's something I've been kind of looking into on this. Just privately.
Here's some photos from the KWA. Maybe they've got something. There he is.
There he is.
Mr. KWA himself, Jeff Wright.
The same guy that wore a wire and busted Sam Riddle a few years ago. There's a lot dirty about this, in my opinion. Again, I'm not alone. I have no idea who these people are.
Yeah, this is a groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah.
There they are.
Oh, there they are. Look at Dane. Isn't he cute? Somebody smacked me. On the end, far right.
Right here. This is Dane. This is Jeff, who's in the middle, by the way. Dane is over here on the side.
Yep.
Isn't there a commissioner in there? Isn't this one of the commissioners?
I can't tell if that's Jamie Curtis or not.
Jamie Curtis, yeah, that's who I was thinking. I thought that might be Jamie Curtis right there.
Yeah, I can't tell. And they weren't proud enough to list their name. You know, Dane Walling has aged a lot in the last couple of years.
I bet he's aged in the last 3 months. Yeah. Especially if he was drinking the water up until October.
Right.
He drinks he drinks it every day. You know, his famous video that.
Yes, and my cat's never had a hairball. So moving along, look at the difference in him, though.
Oh, let's see. Let's go back. Can I go back to that?
If you get a picture of him, back to the video where he was saying, "I drink it every day."
Oh yeah, that's what I was trying to find.
Yeah, look how white his hair. I mean, he's really.
Let's get back to that video, and you know the news organization took down this video where he drank tap water.
I can't imagine. Look at the
there he is. Yeah.
Look how young he looks through his face, his hair. He has aged. I have to say, though, if I thought I might have a hand in poisoning a few 100,000 people, I might look rough, too.
I think this is amazing. On this YouTube video, which is on the Oversight Committee YouTube channel, there's 1 thumbs up, 3 thumbs down. 3 people didn't like this. You can imagine who's really watching this. Are these people from the EPA, from the city of Flint, from the KWA? I mean, who are the people that are giving it a thumbs down?
Mom and Dad and Dane. Oh, sorry. No, I do apologize. And I did not mean that. I know his father did pass away, and that is very sad. So maybe his wife, his mom and Dane.
So I thought this was pretty amazing that they were able to get this footage, because I had seen it back in November, and then I went to look for it in January, and the TV station removed it. It was gone.
But you know how it is online. Nothing's ever really gone.
Yeah, well, it wasn't easily found on their website. There was just a big, I think it was just a picture and a description, and the video was gone. So I'm sure the Congress people could just make a call and get the video. So now it lives forever.
Yep.
Now it is there. Government's got their claws on it.
Well, and somebody had said something to me at that time that I hope he and his family drink it every day. And I said, seriously? I would not wish that on his sons, because truly, talk about sins of the father. Why should his boys have to pay the same cost all these other kids are? They're innocent. And you know what? Maybe Dane's the greatest guy in the free world. Okay, I'm not feeling it, but maybe. And maybe, he's the choir boy he's trying to be. The problem is, I've been here on the ground. I've watched it. I know about it. He might be able to go to DC and sell that, where they don't have the exposure to him that we do. But I was in the meeting when he said, yes, that report was done for me. Yes, we knew about phosphates. Yes, we knew it could cause lead leaching. I have a real big issue with that.
So you were a little disappointed with his song in DC. You think he'd sing like a choir boy.
And he pretended he was a choir boy. Mr. Innocent, look what they did. Nobody told me. Here's the thing. He knew about the TTHMs from Jump Street. That August, he knew the TTHMs were elevated. August? November, December, January. Yeah, August. City Council had to be and all those documents have been FOIA'd. City Council had to be contacted separately. They called Monica Galloway because he failed to disclose it to City Council. The citizens should have been told about the TTHMs within 30 days. They told us 5 months later in January. So he is as culpable as anybody. And he even said sitting there, this was the one that just rocked my world. Yes, he got the email about Legionnaires. He didn't open it. Oh, well, excuse me. I smoked a joint, but I didn't inhale. Couldn't believe that.
He seems to be taking the track that, don't tell me, I don't want to know.
That's what he did.
That's his defense. His defense is, because I wasn't told, I didn't know.
And how many times was...
And that's what that's what he did all along. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
And when we,
if I know,
we were liars. You know, okay, not about the lead, because, well, we figured that out later. But when, you know, when it started right away with the discoloration and the rashes and all the issues and the smell, God, the nasty smell. He wouldn't listen. He wouldn't stay for any of the meetings where the citizens actually spoke. He sat in city council meetings completely mute. Mute. Said nothing. Unless somebody actually said, hey, Dane, specifically, and all you got was a stare at the floor, muttered response. He wouldn't talk to anybody. He would, I mean, even his own staff. But I do think he knew. And I think he's covering up for people. I don't know why. I don't know who has what on whom. He came out January, February, I think he did, what, 3 interviews after the state of emergency, you know, the one he refused to call. Let me just remind you of that. Actually had the guts, and that was on Michigan radio, had the guts to say he's disappointed by the response. Well, hell, he wouldn't even call it. So sit down, Junior. But after he did 2 or 3 interviews, the Detroit Free Press came right out, listed all the reasons he was a liar, and Dane very quietly went back away, and we didn't hear another word until Tuesday in D.C.
Let's shift gears. Let's talk about Susan Hedman.
Oh my God.
You were in the same room with her.
Oh.
She was the top cop in the region and did nothing. And here we got her going through her testimony. Now the committee, they weren't very kind with Susan Hedman.
No.
What was it like being in the room with this?
Oh, they were beyond unkind. Now it sounds like, and I caught kind of wind of it before too, and picked up on it in February, that they have a history with Hedman and her being before them because she has an issue with retribution against her employees. And I think all in all, Susan Hedman's probably a pretty unpleasant human being, if we're going to stretch that human being thing out. I was so enraged, disgusted, furious with that woman. I could have hurdled 4 rows of people and just grabbed her by the throat. Obviously, I did not. She was horrible. Now, look, I live in Flint. I know certain people in the city falsified documents saying that the water samples they sent came from lead lines, and they didn't. And I know the MDEQ straight up, over and over, lied to the EPA. I know that too. I'm aware of these things. Living here, living this. But for her to sit there and say she had to go through all these legal processes to see what they could do about it, even having all of Miguel's testimony and everything else, and his statements and what was going on, all she did was cover her own ass then, and all she's still doing is covering her own ass. That was her whole attitude. And they kept grilling her and McCarthy. You know, can you admit you did something wrong? And she kept saying, no, I wish we would have acted sooner. What a load of crap. That is a legal answer.
How about Miguel del Toro?
Love that man.
They were both hammered on that one issue.
Mm-hmm.
Was he silenced?
Yes. I do believe he was. His one email he referred to, oh, hold on, I've got my notes. The one email they referred to, I think it was in.
Was he disciplined?
Yep. But in McCarthy's, though, one of them, they said they read part of an email from Miguel that he felt like he was sitting in the corner holding a potted plant.
That's right.
Over Flint. Yeah, I have no doubt, especially, and that's something really, they really drove home with our good friend Hedman there. She has a history of doing this. Of you know, repercussions against people and retribution for the fact that they will speak against her. And I really think, I mean, obviously, just like we seem to have this issue with the tone and expectations in Lansing, I think it was very bad at the EPA Region 5 office. You simply didn't go against her.
I guess you don't go against her now because Gina McCarthy, she still says that she was an excellent employee.
Yes, and that she was courageous for resigning.
Courageous for resigning. She still stands by that.
I know.
Courageous.
I was in the room. I could have puked. I'm not even joking.
Now, the committee members gave Susan Hedman the opportunity to change her testimony.
Several times.
And they said, we'll give you 72 hours and you can change your testimony, because what you're saying is Miguel del Toro, he was not disciplined as a result of this, quote, leaked memo.
Right.
And Susan Hedman said over and over again, I stick with what I said. There has been zero repercussions against Miguel for his leakage of this memo.
Well, and her and Early both, they kept having to remind them, you do realize you're under oath, right? Now, if somebody's asking you, Jack, that question, and I really got the impression, especially at Tuesday's hearing, more so Tuesdays even, that the questions they were asking, obviously, like anything else, they knew the answer to.
Some of these congressmen, women, they were former prosecutors.
Oh, and you could tell.
You could tell that their line of questioning was meant to put fear into the person. You know, remember that you're under oath. Remember, I mean, they just really set them up so that they got a little jolt of adrenaline going when they got their questions. So you could tell that they were pretty seasoned in putting the screws to people in front of them. It was theatrics. I mean, it was great theatrics, the way they hammered on these people. But again, Susan Hedman, the top cop in the region, who was in cahoots with MDEQ, which were the criminals in this whole fiasco, who covered up numbers, who fudged numbers, who lied, and the cop
who knew Flint lied, who encouraged Flint to lie.
And the criminals worked with the cops. I mean, it was collusion. You've got it right there in the FOIA emails. Yet here's the top cop getting full benefits because she retired from her position, and she's on easy streak. She can go, you know, springtime. She can go plant daisies and grow daisies with fresh water wherever she lives. I mean, she can go anywhere she wants. And so the whole thing is, she can be the top cop in charge of a population and poisoned the population of 100,000. Not any retribution, doesn't go to jail, but perjure herself in front of a congressional hearing and not take it back. She can go to jail for that. She could be fine. So that's why I was wondering if she had changed her testimony at all, and if she hadn't, if there has been some legal gears put into motion to get her into a perjury suit. And I would think that the water warriors of Flint should be all over that, because if you can get Susan Hedman in front of a judge for perjury, there's no wiggle room. We all heard what she said. She stood by it. She should pay the consequence. There should be no wiggle room in there.
No, and there's an issue with Hedman. There was Darnell Early was another one. He falsified enough statements to make me nervous. See, and I'm the kind of person, Jack, I wouldn't even steal a pack of gum because I'm going to jail the rest of my life. I just am that bad. I'm not even joking. I would turn myself in. I'd throw myself on the mercy of the court. I would send I'm just one of those. These people talk about no conscience. Talk about total and utter lack of empathy. I'm not a doctor, but see, the term sociopath keeps running around my head. Early came across the way he always did in Flint, the way he still does, the way his first article after this came out about the lead in the water was arrogant, cocky, annoying, and a complete bullshitter.
I liked his little smile when one of the committee members said that he got a raise from being an emergency manager in Flint to going to Detroit to be the person that handles their educational system. He got a raise. Huge. And he didn't say anything. He just smiled. He just smiled. That smile is priceless.
Now the thing is, though, one thing I was happy to see, he's always had that shit-eating grin, for lack of a better term. They knocked that clean off his face. But right behind him, at least the one gentleman, is his attorney. And a lot of his questions were answered the same way Hedman's were. Not a complete lie, but nothing that resembles the truth. Very much legally. But he started out just as arrogant as he's always been. And again, he resigned. He takes all his benefits with him too.
What did you think of the emotion that he had in his voice when he was reading his statement towards the end? He felt persecuted.
Isn't that sad? That's the only thing that upset him. That is the only thing. The most emotion hang on, other than once or twice that, I don't know, Snyder has tried to convey something. The most shock I've heard out of Snyder was that there was death threats against him. And I'm not saying that's right, because it's not. I believe this should be taken up legally. In no way am I for any kind of vigilante justice, nothing like that.
Are we talking about the death threats from Cher, saying that he should be up against the firing squad? Would that be considered a death
Well,
threat?
yeah, I would think so. I would think very much so. No, it was shortly after the State of the State, and he'd done an interview, and he said, you know, people want me dead all over the country. Like, total shock.
I think that was his response to Cher suggesting that he face a firing squad.
Well, I know there's been other problems too. I mean, I am aware of that. Sorry, I'm trying to get my back comfortable. I apologize. That's not the right answer to me. To me, legally, this has to be dealt with. I was happy to see the smile finally wiped off Early's face. And I didn't realize until yesterday that Early had served as an interim. No, I guess I did realize that. He was an interim mayor. Now this gets interesting. Between Stanley and I don't know, it was in 92. He was an interim mayor in Flint after Mayor Stanley was recalled. Only for a few months, like March to August. But then he ran and lost. But isn't it odd? Just a very few years later, he came back as the emergency manager. To me, that seemed, and I remember thinking, we were talking about it at the time, and it being in the news that he had lost the election, and it wasn't just a few years later, he's back as emergency manager. That just seems odd. And that poor guy was so angry.
We're talking about Mark Edwards.
Mark Edwards. I was sitting 3 rows behind Mark. And I could, looking around people, I could see just the back of him. He was literally so angry, Jack, his hair was actually shaking. He was that upset. And you watch him, Mark is a very calm, very sedate person. He was not during that first opening testimony. There was nothing calm and sedate about Mark.
Well, that was probably because he was in the same room with Susan Hedman.
But I don't know how he feels about the other two guys. But yeah, he and Hedman, as much frustration as he has with the EPA. And then I'm trying to remember when the email dump was done, not the one this weekend, and I'm talking about the email dump from Snyder. And it was just before the hearings, maybe the day before, I don't remember. But that one showed that the documents Mark Edwards is still waiting for about the child's blood lead levels, the children's blood lead levels, he's been waiting for since last year. And they were given to the concerned pastors last year by the governor. And Mark still doesn't have the copy he FOIA'd. And I'm sure he went into this with that heavy on his mind. Because he mentions documents he was still waiting for from the EPA too. And one of them, he's been waiting on, what is it, like 9 years? And they had told him after the February 3rd hearing, he would have them. And they asked him, and he said, no, I still don't have them. And that's ridiculous. But I felt for Mark Edwards. I really did. I just feel like he's done so much to help other people. I don't know that I could have sat that close to Hedman and not just throttled her.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about regarding Tuesday's hearings? You have some notes.
Yeah, I know. I've been glancing at those. My biggest ones are coming up.
So what happened after the hearing?
After the hearing, see, on Tuesday we left.
Did you have a press conference?
Yeah, we had those were mostly individual interviews. We did those. That was a long day. We finally got to lunch about 2:30 or 3 o'clock. And by then we were all hungry and tired. Then we had been asked to do the individual video shoot where they took us one at a time and talked to each of us about what was going on. And so we did that. I think that night we didn't get back to the hotel until almost 7. And about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 3 of us went out for dinner. And then back and finally crashed, I think, about 3 in the morning. That day was just emotionally tough from start to finish. The hearing and then the interviews. And, this has been a part of our lives for quite some time. And sometimes I can talk about what's happening here at home and I just get through it because it is what it is. And yet after the hearings on Tuesday, by the time we sat down to do the interview, I was just so emotionally wasted by then. And I got back to the room, and the first thing I did was call home. Just needed the family. So no, the first hearing, I appreciated that one was far more bipartisan than the second one. They hit them both good and hard. They really went after Early. I don't understand why he was given a raise when he left Flint. And you know, as you can see in Detroit, didn't go a whole lot better. Oh yes, one thing about Tuesday before I forget. We left just a few minutes early, and I had been waiting for the kids that were beside me to kind of, you know, get together and be ready to leave. And I just stood up, and we were walking out, and I was paying attention, trying to walk over people. And I'm not even sure which congressman said it, but the sentence to Hedman was, "There is a special place in hell for people like you." And Jack, that stopped me in my tracks because I had been thinking that all along. The complete disregard for human life. The fact
Do you remember that? Do you remember who said that?
I don't even know who said it because we were leaving. All I know is,
somebody on the panel did say that.
huh?
Somebody on the panel did say that. I remember it.
Yep. And I mean, that just stopped me cold because, again, that's the nice thing, you know, this time too, is hearing other people as righteously indignant as we are. Because for so long we have been so completely ignored by our government and governing body. But yeah, that got me.
What did you do on your free day, Wednesday?
Wednesday, we did a teleconference in the morning with Scott Smith and Mark Ruffalo. And we had a meeting after that, not very long. Caught lunch, and then we were on our way probably right around 12:30, 1 o'clock. And just went and did some sightseeing. Took the day off. I was so glad they gave us that opportunity because we really needed time off between the two. That was a lot to take. But Nakia Wakes and I, we went over. Trying to think of who else was with us.
Tell us about Nakia Waits. I've reached out to her to interview, but she has declined.
Has she?
My
She's an
request.
amazing girl. I really like Nakia.
She lost her twins.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's
Terrible
been
story.
very public about it.
Yeah. Which is, I give her credit. That is very, very hard. I don't know that I could have done it. So when we left, we were at the AFL building, and Fran wound up meeting with us, and we went and we played the Geeky Tours. We just took off, and we went to pictures of the White House, went over to the Washington Memorial, took pictures of that. I did finally, I wanted to last time, this time I got to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum finally.
Was Lee Ann wearing sneakers?
I wasn't with Lee.
Oh, you weren't?
No, she was in other meetings tied up through the day. We had made plans initially to meet her. They had already done the natural history, and her boys had wanted to go to aerospace. So we had talked about meeting there, but she didn't get done until like 4:30. I know that closes at 5:30. So.
Well, I just was wondering about her footwear. if she wore something that she wouldn't slip on some of the old hardwood slippery floors in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I hope so. I never, in fact, the only 2 times I saw her that week were at the hearing. We were going to try to get together Wednesday evening, and by the time we had gotten done, I was back at the room by 6. I was in really bad shape. I didn't even go get dinner.
When
I
you say
just went
bad
down.
shape, you're talking about your back.
Yeah. Physically, I worked the phones until 11:30 that night. So, but no, I did not leave the room yet. And that was the night she and I were going to try to get together, but we had to be up at, I knew I couldn't stay late anyhow. We had to be up at 5:30 Thursday morning. We got to the Rayburn building at 7 a.m. Doesn't even open till 8. So it was a very early day Thursday. And we had gone and we had gotten in line, waited for them to open up the building, got in line immediately at the hearing room, and still almost did not get in. And not because we weren't there early enough or close enough in the line. We got cut off by one group in particular rather badly, and that caused us, I literally almost missed the hearing. Myself, see, Nakia was in. I almost didn't make it. Fran almost didn't make it. Sam, out of the 12 of us, 7 of us almost missed the hearing because we had really been cut off that badly by another group that was telling us, well, we have reserved seats in the 4th row. Didn't make any sense, and it still really doesn't. But when we went to go in as well, they had that room already half full of all the suits. And those rooms are not very big. And it was sad to me that a lot of Flint people got left out.
They
And
had
I offered,
2
go ahead.
overflow rooms, didn't they?
I know of one for sure. I offered to swap out my seat twice with people that were in the hallway. In fact, I think all of us offered that. And they had the one break, and they said, we'll give you a blue sticky note is what they were using for you to get back in because you'd already been there. But essentially, they told us if we went out, we were not coming back in, other than that one exception. So, yeah, I was there for that one.
So talk about Gina McCarthy, EPA administrator.
The sad thing is, the EPA that's here on the ground, Region 5, EPA, the real people, I don't have any background or experience with Bob Kaplan.